have to do is we have to run the code to load it up into the editor. And actually here, I do have the content that I made last week. Oh, it did save. Great, it remembered me. Okay, so let's actually play the one that I made last week, and then we'll look through this curriculum here, and we'll pick another section to go through and see what else we can learn about the API. So let's click run. And we can see it's going to load up here, all these things going on. And let's see, what did I make last time? Let's hear that groove. Oh, let's see. Sorry, there we go. Gotta turn this back on. Let me pause this. We want to make sure we're not listening to multiple things at once. So let me go back. Grateful. And I'll play it a few times through so you can get a sense of what's going on in the window. Grateful. All right, so that's what we have so far, and let's see. So what we have here, and this is kind of like the hard part, is trying to see all of the content that our code is creating, right? So if you're familiar with other sort of drag and drop music editing software, this is usually what we see up here. So again, as a quick refresher, oh, interesting, solo, mute. Ooh, okay, so just figured that out. So if we wanted to highlight an individual one and here just that, we could click S for solo. If we'd want to temporarily mute that one, we could hit mute. This is actually going to be something that I think I will use more now moving forward, because this makes it a little bit easier, a little faster to try it out with or without other tracks. So you can see there's other tracks in here that are, that are not loaded right now, because in the code we have commented them out. So anything that's this sort of gray color here, the hashtag at the beginning, that's commented out. That means it is not being read by the computer right now. And so it's not going to end up in the top here. So just a quick refresher. So there was a tempo. We didn't really play with that last time. Init, that initializes the script or the scene. These are all built in to the EarSketch API. And what we have up here is some of the earlier stuff that we did. So fit media is a helper function that takes all of these names here that are in caps lock, uppercase. All of these are the names of song clips, or clips over here, right? So notice the names here, and this is one of the song, or one of the clips or pieces of music that's available over here in this interface. So what that does is it grabs that music file, it loads it in at a starting position. Bring this down, go back up, and sorry, let's see, the one. See, I'm already forgetting it's been 1 week, and it's a start and a stop position. Sorry, this is the track. So which one of these tracks here? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And we can see here, this next one that says fit media has a second clip that was created using this helper function. And so here you can see the first number is related to the track. So that's where this one is being loaded in, this short clip right here. And other things that we can do is, beat, kind of like an on-off beat from the drum sounds here. So if we just play the drums. So. So you can think of this like a snare, right? Where once you pick what the sound is, right? So for example, these ones here using these sounds, this snare. Then what is happening is we are basically visually representing the drum pattern that we want to be taking place here. And there's a few different ways that it's happening in here. You can have a variable name, and you can represent it here and then refer to it. We also used one of their reverse string helper functions, also saved to a variable that we're loading in here. You can also just type it in directly. So again, what we talked about last week is that this is okay if you're just testing something out, or if you are, what's the word I'm looking for? If you're testing something out, trying out a new pattern, or if you know you're only using something once. But in general, I always highly recommend saving things with nice names over here. I would say these maybe aren't the nicest names, but these are the default ones that came in, right? So you might want to call this like long solo or like drum solo, right? And then instead of fill D, we would give it a nicer name so that when we look at it, we're like, oh, okay, the thing that's playing right here, that's the drum solo. It's a lot of drum in action, right? So just double checking on the Facebook side. All right, looks like there's a button that I didn't press on the Facebook side to get it going. Again, first time doing it. Let's see. Okay. All right, so I will double check that towards the end of the stream, see if we can get that worked out so that on Saturday, all of the streams are going to all of the places so that we can see and reach you no matter where you are, no matter which platform you're on. We want to create great content for you. So let's get back over, let's dive into some of this code here. Yeah, so as you can see, a lot of it is fitting the media, picking the part or the clip that you want to use, which track to load it into. Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. It's just a little bit cold here, so I have a heater pointed at me, and it is making me just like warm and cozy now, which I think is triggering the yawns, so my apologies. Right, so which track, starting position, ending position. So let's go in and let's click through some of the curriculum and see what other examples or what other coding concepts we can dive into. So I'm going to try to ignore any of these really big blocks of text, and I'm just going to skim down, right? You may encounter challenges. Learn to use comments. Okay. Why? Okay. Algorithms. So we can talk a little bit about what an algorithm is. An algorithm is just a list of instructions, a set of instructions. You have, if you are new to coding, you have used algorithms before, I promise. Algorithms are anytime you write down some ordered number of steps in order to achieve a task, right? This can be a recipe, right? Baking cookies, making a cake, making your favorite special family casserole for the holidays, right? If you've ever written that down or gone online and searched for a recipe, If somebody else has given that to you with a list of ingredients and a list of step-by-step instructions that you then followed, that's an algorithm. There are other places where algorithms happen literally every day in class. You probably have had a teacher that says, do step 1, do step 2, do step 3, complete the task, right? So open up your notebooks, write 2 sentences on the page about the reading that you did, share a comment or a thought or your favorite quote, turn the paper in up on my desk, right? That's an algorithm. It's a set of instructions or a procedure that you follow, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Point this way. Here in the code, right, is we have a set of instructions. Fitting the media, telling it where to go, commenting some things out. Those are instructions you can skip, and then fitting some more media, and then you can see all the way at the end, finish is the last step. So start of a recipe, end of a recipe. So that is what an algorithm is, and you can roll the dice. So what are they trying to say here? So this means that using computer science, using programming, it's usually very easy to implement some amount of randomness into what you are doing. So let's see if we can find, okay, here's an example made in Earsketch. Okay, so let's go on the hunt for random. Let's click back up here to the reference. Creating beats, sound library, programming reference. Okay, so let's go to the API. And so the other way to get to it, I believe, was through here, right? API list. And API stands for Application Programming Interface. And we want to look for random. There we go. Okay, so select a random file. Roll. Let's see. What are some other dice? Okay, well, let's check out select random file. Folder. Example, get random audio file equals select. Okay, so this allows us to do something where it will select a file from a folder of sounds. So let's see. So select random file. I'm going to hit Command C to copy that. And then what I want to do is I want to go back in and let's change. Let's see. So what I want to do is let's do a solo on our drum solo. And so that's happening here. And what I want to do is I'm going to comment out all the other places where the drum is happening, because I want us to see how it changes the different drum selection that it picks. So what we need to do is let's go find the folder. Let's search for drum. Filter the sounds. Or sorry, let's search for snare. There we go. It looks like there's multiple pages. Make beat. Okay, so let's use the folder name called make beat. So notice this is similar to the name of the function here. So don't worry, it's gonna be, oh, I see, that's that. So what we can do is we want to use this same function a few times. Let me move this and let me put it down here. So let's just assume we're gonna start out with that, and we want to keep it in track 3. And let's see. So how many measures long is the drum solo? Looks like from 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's make our drum solo about half as long. or maybe let's use a shorter one. Let's do the same pattern. Let's do fill A, and then we'll just repeat it, but we'll change which version of the sound file is being used each time. So fill A looks like maybe 1 measure, maybe 2. So first, let's do select random file from make beats, right? So this should be a totally unique one each time. So these 3 times, it should be different. So they're all going to be on 3. We don't want them all to start on 5 though. We want to start on 1, and then we'll start on 3, and then we'll start on 5. And then let's see what we get. Okay, let's see. Make sure. Did that go? Just want to make sure I didn't accidentally have. Wait, oh, I see. We have an error. Bad input on line 7. It looks like I accidentally must have deleted a number here. So let me type that back in and hit run. There we go. Okay, so now the error is gone. So now we can see here that each of these very distinct drum sections is going to happen. Now, I'm curious to see, because we won't know, that it will have just picked a random one. So any random snare, so it looks like it has 1, 2, 3, it has 6 options that it could choose from for these 3 sounds. So I'm expecting that we'll hear a different drum sound each time. So let's try it out. Nice. All right, I actually like that. I think that's kind of fun. Let's have it, let's do it again. Copy all of this. Because I think that the randomness is fun. Is like, one thing to keep in mind is that whichever one is selected for this first one, it doesn't mean it can't be selected again, right? So, but let's get this going where then they start going 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's run again. Let's close this out so we can see more. So you can see it's going to have a space, and then it's just going to go. All right. So let's take it from the top. See, 2 of the same, 3 of the same. Now changed. Nice. I like it. Now, the hard thing about this is that if you want those to be the same every time, so if I go back and play it again, they'll be the same. Every time you hit run, though, that's when it will grab a different file. So we'll try that a few times. All right, so let's hit run again. We'll load it up, and let's see where everything went. So we need, there we go, jump it back. Okay, so it's different sound this time. That's an interesting one. Awesome. All right, so a little bit of randomness. That is what they said. So where were we? I think we were back in the fundamentals. Over here, why learn programming, right? So that was what they were talking about. You could roll the dice, right? Introduce some randomness, introduce some chance, right? Change the starting time. Let's see. So I think one of the things that's missing here is I was searching in the API for something, but another thing that we can do is we want to check out, so this is using the Python language. So whenever you're searching for a word or a concept in programming languages, I always recommend start with the name of the language. And then we want to say random number generator. That's what we want. So let's see what it's called. Let's just double check. Okay, so do we have any examples? So random range, right? So let's do random range. And what we want to do is we want to give it a start and a stop. And it looks like if we want, we can give it a step, which is how many parts in between there can we have. So let's go back in and modify our code a little bit to use random. So right now, we want, again, to use these randomly. And what if instead, and so now one thing we have to be aware of is we don't want things to overlap. So let's say we want, this one to start at the beginning, but we have this 3-measure segment between the first piece and all these other ones. And maybe instead of having this one start exactly at 3, let's use rand range and have it start at some starting point between 2 and 4, right? 4 is the latest it can start, so that if it starts at 4, it will have time to complete and it won't run into the section that's starting at 5. Now, let's just try it with that. So this means it will have 3 options. It will start at 2, at 3, or at 4. So you can see right now it's evenly spaced. Let's try it out. Let's run. Oh, let's see. Random range. Let's see. Okay, sorry. Random range. That's what I forgot. There we go. So this is basically referring to the random API in a certain sense, and then calling a function on it. So let's see if that does it. Oh no. Let's see. Random. Oh, you know what? Probably have to import it. Let's double check and see. Yeah, so it's a library. So let me go all the way back up to the top here. And we want to import random. So some of these things are, maybe in the curriculum here, they'll cover it a little bit later, but some of these things are things that, you might have to go through more of this content over here until you get to a point where they let you know that. And I'm also a little rusty on my Python, and so I'm more excited about the music right now, so I'll sometimes forget. Let's see if we can click run and get it to work. But notice that the error messages down here are pretty helpful, right? Error message, name error. There's an error with a variable or function name that is not defined. Random is not defined. So what that means is sometimes this happens when you have a typo. Maybe, for example, you referred to fill A and fill B, and you accidentally had a space, right? And so it won't find the word fill. It'll only find fill A. In this case, the reason why it's not finding it is because random is a helper library that I didn't yet import. So let's see if I click run, if that will go away. There we go. So our script ran successfully. Now, what do we see? It looks to me like our song is still starting. Is that the max I can do that? Okay. Like our song or our section here is still in the middle. So let's just see if I can hit run a few more times and get it to have a different placement. Or I don't remember if random is inclusive or not. So let's double check. So we are using random range. Range start. Keyword arguments, sophisticated. Okay, let's use rand int, because I think this one will be more helpful in making sure that we get a solid value. Okay, so let's try that. So some number that is greater than, or sorry, equal to or greater than the starting number, and equal to or less than the end number. There we go. So you can see this time it ended up in position 2. And then we're going to have an extra long gap. And then the next one's going to come in. All right, let's run again. Let's see if we can get it in a different position. There we go. Okay, so now it's back in the middle. Let's run it again. Back in the front. Now, this is like rolling the dice, right? Flipping a coin. It's not guaranteed to be evenly distributed. So every single time we hit run, we have a chance that it will use one of the available. So let's also double check, right? So n can be less than or equal to b. So in theory, we should be able to get it in that last position. Just hasn't happened yet. Try it one more time. Statistics, math, right? So just to double check, right? So it says here that n can be equal to b. So we're not doing anything wrong. We just aren't getting the, what's the word? We're just not getting the statistically what feels like it should be just as likely, right? So that's kind of a cool thing as well. And so this is with make beat. Another thing that could be really interesting and an interesting place to use that is if we take the solo off of that, and I want you to listen here. I don't want to solo it, but let's listen to the section here of track 2. Grateful, grateful. Okay, so that's what I wanted to see. So that's happening right here, and I'm going to rename that grateful, because again, I think that the more clear your variable names are, the easier it will be to read your code and to know what's happening. So now we know, okay, great, this is grateful, the grateful clip right here, and it's in track 2, and it's starting at position 2, and it is going until 3. So one full thing here. Now, one thing we could do is similar to what we did before. So we can have that be the starting one. And then what we could do is, so if this one is going to end at 3, let's say we want this one to be at random rand int, and we want it to start no sooner than 4 and no later than 6. And then we want to make sure that we close that bracket because now we're calling a function inside of a function, right? So you've got to start to be careful about your parentheses. And then this last one here, now this is going until 6. So it's thinking about it as a measure, not as a duration of time. So what we need to do is we want to, well, actually here, what we can do is if we know we always want it to be 2, we can make a new helper called start at equals. And the nice thing about this is that here, now we can say, we can refer to our helper, and then since we don't know what it's going to pick, we can then also say start at plus 2, right? So for this one, it's a difference of 1. So for this one, we'll say it's longer one. So let's see if this works. It should add another section of grateful that should be 2 measures long. Let's make it 1.5 long, just to prove that we can use decimals. Oh, let's see, error in the code, bad input on line 16. Oh, and the reason for that. So this is one of those errors. This is a great opportunity to see this kind of error. So some errors, right? It says, oh, what's wrong with 16? We didn't do anything to 16. So that's a clue. Like, okay, let me actually look back up, and we can see the thing right before 16 is that when I change it to a 0.5, I got rid of my parentheses. So it was interpreting that as an error. Let's add the parentheses and see if we can run it again. There we go. All right, so now we can see it decided to start at line 6. Let's take it all the way to the back and see what it sounds like. Grateful, grateful. Grateful, grateful, grateful. All right, now we've run it once, but let's run it just to prove that it's going to start somewhere between 4 and 6. Okay, run it again. There we go. So now it's starting at 4. Let's jump it back and see how that sounds. Grateful, grateful. Grateful, grateful, grateful. All right. So I'm hoping that this is really showing you the kinds of things that you can't do in a traditional drag and drop music editor. Is that just like in the curriculum over here, just like it says that the randomness that you can add to this experience can be really powerful, right? That can really, really show, what it is, or demonstrate that using programming makes a difference, right? Imagine composing a song that was, used a lot of either randomness or a lot of these kinds of variables that could change over time. What if the song was a little bit different every time you played it, a unique experience just for that viewer? Or I'm trying to think, again, we'll have to dive in more, but imagine that you had the opportunity to change the tempo to hear it at different speeds. Let's do it. Let's do random, rand, int, and let's see, it was at 120. Let's see what it sounds like anywhere between 80 and 150. Now this is a big range. Let's see what we get. Oh, and again, what is happening here? Forgetting my final parentheses. Let's hit run again. So I don't know if we can see anywhere up here what the tempo is going to be, but let's give it a play and see what we got. Grateful, grateful. Feels a little faster maybe. Grateful, grateful, grateful. So again, one thing we can do is we can pull that out into a variable name here. And then we can refer to it. So here's what's happening is I'm not used to the editor getting rid of the parentheses at the end. So I'm gonna have to remember every time we're in here using the parentheses. All right, let's see, let's make this end at 10 so things don't go on for quite so long. But obviously if you're trying to make a full-length song, you would want it to be longer. So now what we're going to do is we're going to randomly generate it, and then I want to see if we can print the tempo. If I am remembering the correct term, print, pprint, data pretty printer. Okay, I think it will just be print. Let's try it. Bad input on line 11. Okay. Ah, there we go. It happened to me again. Okay. I gotta keep my eye. Okay, so now it printed out our tempo for us. So we can see down here, this is one of those things so that as you're playing with random things, or maybe you're doing random because you're not sure which sound you want yet and you want it to just like randomly try them all, you can use print to print out pieces of information that you made randomly so that you can see it and get that feedback, right? So, all right, so this sounds like it's gonna be slower. Let's see how we go. Grateful, Grateful. Grateful, grateful, grateful. All right. I think that was awesome. I think that's a great spot to end on. I'm going to hit run one more time. Let's see what tempo we get for the output, and then we'll do a little closing summary. All right, 114, a little bit faster. Grateful, grateful. Grateful, grateful, grateful. Awesome. All right, so that's going to be it for Coding Office Hours today. Thank you everyone who tuned in, who participated. Really looking forward to connecting with more of you via YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, in all the places. So hopefully we'll see you on Saturday for our 2 student ambassador streams. Earlier in the day, we have Aaliyah, who is going to be doing another episode of her show, Electric Vision Entertainment, kind of just featuring all of the cool tech and computer science interests and things that she is a really big fan of. I know she's super into space and robots, and she recently did a tutorial on how to start a new project on GitHub and get things set up. So she's doing a lot of different content there, super entertaining. And then we also have our other student ambassador, Brian, who is the new host of our Tech Topical show. Tech Topical is where we talk about technical topics in a non-technical fashion. So if this show was like, technical, gross, there's code on the screen, never fear. Tech Topical is the place for you, where no matter what the topic is, the goal is always to talk about it in a manner that is open to anyone, right? No technical experience required. So you can check out some past episodes. I think Brian has done it twice now. We also have some older episodes from what we're now calling season 1, where I was the host. For example, talking about blockchain. So if you've never had an hour-long conversation with anyone about blockchain that didn't start to get into some technical stuff that was a little too scary, I do recommend going checking that out. Right now, all the videos are on our Twitch, and later on, over the holidays, we'll also be uploading them to our YouTube as well. So for now, like I said, they are available on the Twitch, as they say, and we'll be porting them over to our YouTube soon as well. And as for Facebook, we will figure that out. I'm not sure if the videos will live on Facebook other than when they start to go live, but we do encourage and look forward to communicating with you there on that platform. So that is all for me. I'm going to put this music on a loop, and we will transition out, and I will see you I won't see you next week on Tuesday, but we will be doing the Saturday streams over the break. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for coming out, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Grateful, grateful.